I will hold in order to do business with you. They break open your house one time, they rape your mother, they rape your father, they rape your brother, they rape your sister, they rape your auntie, they rape your auntie, they rob you of all your jewels, they take your car if you have a license firearm, they take your firearm, and they go on with that. And those that are supposed to vote for this bill, for the next year, you all are pleased and it's okay with that. What are they smoking? You cannot come and tell Saieed, well, hear this now. Saieed, mass mandatory, here we go. It come to an end. And then you come and tell me, here we go on Saieed. If you go to the supermarket, the grocery, or the malls, you have to wear your mask. Saieed, if you go in a pharmacy, you have to wear your mask. Saieed, if you're traveling, you have to wear your mask. If you're in the transportation hub, you have to wear your mask. If you're going to church, Saieed, you have to wear your mask. If you're in the school, Saieed, you're wearing your mask. If you go to a barber salon, you go to the theater, you're wearing your mask. Which dum-dum in Trinidad and Tobago will go in a theater and buy a popcorn and a juice and sit down and wear a mask? Thanks! If every councillor go through their constituency, do video clips like this and send it for us, I'm gonna be so happy just to play it on our program on a Wednesday night. You know why I would be happy? I will be filled with joy in my heart. You know why? Because the council is getting off their butts and they are actually going and doing some live video shoots. Real Talk took the initiative to find out suppliers of wheat in the world that National Flour Mill could go to. So now Romano is saying the company is not going to raise any price in the near future. Why? Why? Is it because the S-boss and they realize now that, hey, it is in the public domain that we could go right Mexico and buy flour and wheat? We could go right China and buy wheat? I am about change, and thus far, Real Talk is very effective in Trinidad and Tobago, coming towards making changes for the citizens. Public Utility Minister Marvin Gonzalez have urged the population to appreciate and be grateful for the availability of the utilities. This, as Gonzalez recalled, time in his life when he had to fetch water using a bucket from a nearby river. Gonzalez, I want you to understand something. I want you, Mr. Gonzalez, to understand something. You are being paid thousands of dollars by public utility, by the finance ministry, to govern WASA. Come on. To govern WASA, I want you to understand that you ain't going in no office for no free code. You are being paid. Do not tell me that I, Saieed, have to be grateful for the water I get it. Let me tell you something, Gonzalez. Every 4 months, I have to pay $400 and I get water once a bloody month. So don't come on a media briefing and say, Saieed, you have to be contented, you have to be happy. Marvin, the next best thing for you to do is to resign and get the hell out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host, Saeed. We do want to thank you for joining us tonight, viewers. The #1 current affairs program in Trinidad and Tobago presently, and we have been holding that post for a number of years. All because of you, the viewers of Real Talk with Saieed Ali. And tonight we want to thank you for making us the #1 current affairs program. So viewers, as we start off our program tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Saieed Ali have stated that the procurement of high-powered weapons and training for personnel to use them were part of a possible plot by the Strategic Service Agency, the SSA, to replace the government. Those are among the findings of the audit into the SSA that was launched in March after a special branch of the police service flagged several occurrences in the National Security Council, which led to the installation of new SSA leadership. Dr. Rowley said it was discovered that the SSA had adopted an unapproved organizational staffing without the required authority of decision either by the cabinet or by the Minister of National Security. He questioned, why would an intelligence gathering organization find it necessary to secretly have an operational unit of that nature and magnitude? Listen to the Prime Minister.
It was discovered that the SSA had adopted an unapproved organizational design structure and staffing without the required authority of a decision either by the Cabinet, the National Security Council, or the Ministry of National Security. For example, Madam Speaker, the SSA established and operated a highly trained and militarized so-called tactical response unit for operational purposes. As part of the audit review, this unit was examined and abolished in March 2024. Its operations prior to March 2024 is under review by the SSA and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Why would an intelligence gathering agency with a mandate to collect and share information with operational units in other law enforcement and defense agencies find it necessary to secretly have an operational unit of that nature and magnitude? Madam Speaker, for what purpose was such a unit established in an intelligence gathering agency? What was their role? What did they actually do? These questions are still to be fully understood and answered and form the subject of police investigation. In the meantime, the National Security Council views this development with great concern.
Now Trinidad and Tobago. In March, Dr. Rowley said 28 employees were terminated either for violations of the SSA Act and regulations or faulty promotion, process, and practice. He stated that the self-proclaimed spy pastor, Ian Brown, also among those dismissed, and added that the audit found disturbing practice of nepotism and Trinidad and Tobago. So now we have a strategic service in Trinidad and Tobago that gathers intelligence, information that will be used against people. Imagine, according to Dr. Rowley, this very said unit was a possible plot back then, which would lead to the July 27, 19. Imagine that, eh? Listen to what Dr. Rowley had to say.
Madam Speaker, in March 2024, 28 employees of the SSA were terminated, either for violations of the SSA Act and regulations or for anomalous recruitment or faulty promotion processes and practices. C. The audit also found disturbing practices of nepotism and opportunism. For example, Madam Speaker, several family members and associates of particular persons and of a particular church were found to have been surreptitiously employed in the agency. Such persons belonged to a cult which was arming itself while preaching a doctrine for trained military and paramilitary personnel with a religious calling to be the most suitable persons to replace the country's political leadership. There were existing high levels of influence on the affairs of the agency to the detriment of national security. Many of these persons were never polygraphed or otherwise screened or integrity tested, this being an absolute essential given the nature and mandate of the agency.
Now, viewers, Dr. Rowley said in 2017, the agency purchased 8,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition. But by 2022, the amount purchased during that year was 100,000 rounds. Dr. Rowley questioned, why would an intelligence gathering agency need 103 firearms of different type of calibers, and why would the agency in 2022 need 100,000 rounds of ammunition? Listen to what he said.
Madam Speaker, in 2017, the agency purchased 8,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition. But by 2022, the agency purchased during that year 100,000 rounds. While arming itself, the agency did not disaggregate ammunition held for operational use from ammunition stored for the purpose of training in accordance with international best practices. Similarly, whereas in 2016, the SSA had a mere 24 firearms, consisting of pistols or revolvers, since 2021, the number of firearms held by the SSA increased to 103 of different types of caliber, including military grade. Why would an intelligence gathering agency need 103 firearms of different types and caliber? And why would the agency in 2022 need 100 rounds of ammunition? 100,000 rounds of ammunition.
Now, the PM said there was never a budget in the SSA to purchase military-grade weapon, nor was there any NSC ever informed of any such activity. He said the audit also discovered that the former SSA director initiated the procurement of high-grade military bolt-action rifle, complete with silencers and other accessories, and was engaged in training specifically selected questionable hired personnel in the skills of the use of such weapon.
Shockingly, the audit discovered that the former director of the SSA initiated the procurement of high-grade military bolt-action rifles, complete with the most modern silencers and other accessories. And the SSA was engaged in training specially selected, questionably hired personnel in the skill and use of such weapons. This, Madam Speaker, All this, Madam Speaker, before the amendment to the Act in November 2023, which allowed the SSA to have and keep firearms.
Now, viewers, Dr. Rowley noted that this matter is gaining the attention of the police, and the matters relating to the two bolt-action sniper rifle, of which I spoke earlier, are indeed under further police investigation. So imagine the biggest intelligence gathering agency in Trinidad and Tobago is involved in illegal things. And this was unearthed by an audit being done on the SSA. Imagine that in Trinidad and Tobago. Wow. Moving along, the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, have stated that the 70,000 rounds of ammunition that the Strategic Service Agency, which is the SSA, had purchased and is now unaccounted for, pose a very serious and grave threat to citizens and visitors and national security. He also reiterated the reason why accountability in the business of firearm and ammunition is so critical, and further added that the police are pursuing the particular matter, hopefully, to a very successful finding or end.
Every single round of ammunition that finds itself in unlawful hands with the prospects for misuse, abuse, poses a very serious threat. So obviously, given the Prime Minister's observations that 70,000 rounds of ammunition are yet unrecorded and unaccounted for, this obviously poses a grave and a very serious threat to the citizens and visitors of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, to national security. And that's the reason why accountability in the business of firearms and ammunition, their movement, their use, is so critical. So, Mr. President, the police, as the Prime Minister indicated, is pursuing this particular matter meticulously and hopefully to a very successful finding or end. Thank you very much.
Viewers, questioned by UNC Senator Wade Mark on whether the government has sought the assistance of foreign counterpartners to aid retrieval of the ammunition, Hines said they haven't done so as yet. Listen to Hines.
We have not done so as yet, purely because at this juncture, it has not been deemed to be necessary, since the sources of this failure in the controlled equipment and supplies inventory management at the SSA does not exceed the investigative and corrective expertise and capacity in Trinidad and Tobago, particularly as it resides in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. But for completion, in answer to my friend Senator Mark, we cooperate with our foreign partners, every one of them, and this cooperation transpires on an ongoing basis. I thank you, Mr. President.
So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to hear the opposition to PM come clean on SSA audit after this.
Become a member of Real Talk Credit Union, now located at number 14 Coroni Savannah Road, Chagonas. Open a fixed deposit with Real Talk Investments and get 4% on interest with interest payment being paid up front. Get in contact with us at 238-6716, 231-6219 or 339-16 2470. Real Talk Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Plant a seed today for a better tomorrow.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Real Talk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Caroni Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on a roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery. At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
So welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. Now, viewers, I just want to remind you, we at Real Talk Finance and Investment, we are offering you 4% on fixed deposit. Remember that. Remember that, viewers. 4% on fixed deposit. The good thing about with this fixed deposit is that you're getting your interest payment up front. So you don't have to wait for the end of 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. You're getting your interest payment up front. Remember that. We are the only financial institution in Trinidad and Tobago is offering you upfront interest payment on a fixed deposit. Also, be members of the credit union. Open a savings account, buy shares, open an account for the kids, for the mothers, the fathers, the brothers, the sisters, the entire family. Open a savings account and a shares account. Also, a Real Talk group, we are licensed money lenders. You're looking for cash borrow, it's not a problem. It is not a problem. As long as you have some form of security for us to hold, such as land, vehicle, house, gold, things like these, you can contact our office, viewers, and we can do business. Remember, we are located at number 14 Caroni Savannah Road in Chaguanas and 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village in San Fernando. That is the Real Talk group of company. Also, viewers, our credit union, Real Talk Credit Union, is situated at the Real Talk group of company building, number 14 Caroni Savannah Road in Chaguanas. And very soon, within 2 weeks or so, we would have Real Talk Credit Union in San Fernando. I know the South people is eagerly waiting for us. I've had a lot of calls from the South people. We will be there hopefully in 2 weeks' time to service you, the people of South and Deep South Trinidad. So we come in your way. Hopefully after that, viewers, we'll be up in the East, we'll be in the West, we'll be up the Caribbean. We are spreading out. Real Talk is spreading out. Real Talk is branded by me, Saieed Ali. I'm the Managing Director of Real Talk I'm also the Managing Director of Real Talk Finance and Investment Company. I'm also the President of Real Talk Credit Union. So I have a financial background. Here's the reason why I am encouraging you. You work so long, hard, long hours, saving your hard-earned cash, and you want to reap the best interest on your hard-earned dollar. I am here to tell you, you can get 4% on a fixed deposit with upfront interest payment. Upfront interest payment. No other financial institution is doing it like Real Talk. No other. We meeting, we matching. We meeting and matching. Any financial institution in Trinidad and Tobago that is meeting 4% and over, we are going to match it. Just for you, the citizens of our country. Why? Why is Real Talk doing that? Because Real Talk wants you to have the best of your hard-earned cash. So as we go back to our program tonight, UNC Deputy Political Leader Dr. Rudal Munilal has dismissed Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's statement about findings of the audit of the Strategic Service Agency SSA as useless guns talk. He said it occurred under the watch of the National Security Council and the National Security Minister, and noted that the report of Major Anthony Philip Spencer must be laid in Parliament and produced to the public. Munilal added that Dr. Rowley also spoke of an attempt coup, and he should be asked if he was prepared to undertake a commission of inquiry into the SSA attempted coup.
I did raise yesterday in the Parliament this issue, that if something so bombastic occurred, it occurred under the watch of the National Security Council and the Minister of National Security, who has statutory oversight of the Strategic Services Agency, SSA. The report of Anthony Spencer, Brigadier General, retired, must be laid in the Parliament. It must be produced in the public for us to look at it. One never can tell, what is the basis of that report. Did they interview persons? Did persons make submissions orally or in writing? Have they consulted the Auditor General, who has oversight over a statutory organization like SSA? There are many questions, but Dr. Rowley speaks of an attempted coup. So then one should ask Dr. Rowley whether he's prepared to undertake a commission of inquiry into the SSA attempted coup of 2024, as we had a commission of inquiry into the 1990 attempted coup.
Now, viewers, he noted that one has to be careful to this pattern where secret reporters become the bias of the public, such as the Legal Affairs Ministry, Solicitor General Office, and the Firearm Users License, and now the SSA and a coup. The money.
One has to be extremely careful and sensitive to this pattern of dictatorship where secret reports become the basis for public policy. And we saw it with the change in the Legal Affairs Ministry, Solicitor General's Office. We have seen it with change with the policy on FUL. We see it now with all this gun talk about SSA and coup and so on.
Viewers, he stated that it requires a deeper investigation to ascertain whether or not Dr. Rowley is telling the truth, because he has reached the point where nobody believes him. Listen to this final bit.
The SSA, people may not know, but the SSA was used as a training agency for about 8 different divisions in law enforcement, including the TTPS. So if they ramped up ammunition and weapons and so on, everything must have been done with a paper trail, with accountability of some kind. And that requires a deeper, independent public investigation to ascertain whether or not Dr. Rowley is telling the truth, because Dr. Rowley has reached the point where I think nobody believes him anymore.
Now, Trinidad and Tobago. Before I go any further, remember I was telling you I have a record for sale? I have a beautiful record. It is my personal record which I use to transport my Benz to car show. So on screen you're gonna see my record. It's a personal record. It is for sale, viewers. I am selling out my personal record. Those of you interested, you can contact me at 339-1670. It's a beautiful record. It is a beautiful record, viewers. Those of you who want to go into the record business, you can contact me 339-1670 or 238-6716 and just tell me you want to speak to Saeed concerning the record. Look at that beautiful truck. You could use the truck for transport too. So contact me, organize a viewing, and let me hear what price you're going to give me. We open for negotiation. It's Real Talk Reckon. That's just one of our records. So as we start back, Independent Senator Paul Richard has expressed support for the Whistleblower Protection Bill, but raised concerns regarding the bill in combating corruption. Richards emphasized that while the bill aims to expose corruption, it could eventually create new avenues for misconduct. He highlighted that troubleshooting collaborations between corrupt individuals with public service, which undermines effort to combat crime, and stress on the need for legislation, creativity to eradicate corruption in Trinidad and Tobago.
There's an intricate and intimate interplay between the criminals outside the public service and sometimes in the private sector and those carrying the guns outside. And we have to recognize that. There is a symbiotic relationship going on for decades. The population is clearly at a point where, in large regard, it's articulated the need for the employment of different approaches, in some cases controversial, as has been done in other jurisdictions, for the greater good in the public interest. And the public I speak about here is the law-abiding citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, who are by and far and large the majority. But the few miscreants inside and outside the system collaborate to undermine everything. And we have to deal with that. We can't put our heads in the stand and say, well, we have to be careful. And yes, we have to be law-abiding. We can't break the law to bring the criminals in check. But we have to be creative and use legislative measures and strengthen institutions to cut it out.
Now, viewers, he added that if those mechanisms were working, we won't be here. Then one more.
The support for this kind of measure in the other place, and potentially this place, also speaks to, Mr. President, the failure of present mechanisms and measures to identify and bring to justice corrupt public officers. We've reached here because many of those mechanisms have failed so far. We have to acknowledge that. Otherwise, if those were successful in the way we envisioned when we passed those laws, we would not be here. So we can't keep doing the same thing the same way all the time and expect a different result. We can't. Interestingly enough, we got an example just earlier on today when the Honorable Minister of Finance came to answer a question I had the honor to pose about operations in customs and excise. And the minister identified that a pallet scanner, 20 years old, is non-operational for 10 years.
Now, Richards also expressed uneasy with Section 3 of the Judicial and Legal Service Act as amended, which mandates polygraph testing and other lie detector tests for law officers. Now, Senator also underscores the failure of existing mechanism in bringing corruption in the public office to justice, citing non-operational equipment and incidents of deliberate sabotage within custom and exercise as examples. Imagine you have a scanner on the port, and we recently found out the scanner was there for 20 years and it has not been working for 10 years. That recently surfaced. For 10 years, it has not been working. So you're going to tell me 10 years are back, the present administration could not have notified custom and exercise that, hey, we need a new scanner for the port? Real slacker. It's sad. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Said. Great program as usual.
Thank you, my friend.
And just what Paul Richards is saying there, you just highlighted the clip. Every single thing failed in this country. If it's only SSA, because it was glaring, you had international intelligence got involved into it and so on. Mm-hmm. That's why the mark was bust. But this going on for a long while, and not only in SSA, if an in-depth investigation is taken into the entire police service, you will take the Panadol that is on the van, that big Panadol, the headache people will get, the citizen of this country, right-thinking citizen. You have right in the police service there. Officers, senior and junior officers, set up car company, renting back vehicles to the police service. And you have officers that set up business where when officers working next to you, they're cooking the food and bringing it there. Mm-hmm. It's big bubble and corruption. That is why we can't solve nothing in this country. And the police service, all they involved in this country with is to ticket the citizens, brakes light, tail light, inspection of vehicle, crack windscreen, and you have lawlessness just increasing every day. Mr. Said, it's sad, you know what is happening today, and all what you see happening highlighted on your program already, like with the Commissioner of Police that came back to as an advisor to the retired commissioner, as an advisor to the present commissioner. When a police officer retired today, this was said on your program long time, when a police officer retired today, you resemble Rowley Hines and Erla Christopher. You're back in the service Monday morning, and they contributed nothing to security in this country. Today, when you have these people, these miscreants put the speaker box on top of the vehicle, you know what they're playing? Gangster music, gunman music. Whole night you hearing that, and you know what today? Shooter by. And praising Rowley and Hines for legalizing marijuana. Say when you smoke up, shooter by. Rubber Indiana. That the kind of thing, you're hearing no on these miscreants playing, and nobody, police, nobody is doing anything about this. I want to hear what the opposition leader will say about this and how they intend to deal with it. All right. Mr. Said, great work. You keep up the good job. God bless you and your program.
Thank you, my friend. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break. It's that time, but when we come back, we're going to hear what Senator Vieira has to say concerning the whistleblower bill after.
Become a member of Real Talk Credit Union, now located at number 14 Coroni Savannah Road, Chaguanas. Open a fixed deposit with Real Talk Investments and get 4% on interest with interest payment being paid up front. Get in contact with us at 238-6716, 231-6219 or 339-1670. Real Talk Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited. Plant a seed today for a better tomorrow.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Realtor Group of Companies and Licensed Moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Caroni Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery. At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. Now, viewers, remember we have a 4% on special and fixed deposit right now. Grab the opportunity while it lasts, Trinidad and Tobago. It's not going to be around forever. It's not going to be around forever. So grab the opportunity while it lasts. We have a call on line. Caller, good night. All right. Independent Senator Anthony Vieira, SC, pledged his support to the Whistleblower Protection Bill. Vieira stated that more than 60 countries have enacted whistleblower legislation, but all designed to protect persons reporting rampant misconduct. Listen to what he has to say.
As of recent counts, more than 60 countries have enacted some form of whistleblower protection laws. And those laws vary in terms of scope, enforcement mechanisms, and protections offered. But they all have one thing in common. They aim to protect individuals who report misconduct, corruption, or other illegal activities from retaliation. Whistleblower protection encourages ethical behavior by promoting a culture of transparency and integrity within both the public and the private sectors, as employees are encouraged to report unethical or illegal activities without fear of retaliation or victimization. Speaking out is never easy. Besides going against the grain of how many have been brought up, the harsh reality is that when insiders blow the whistle on those who have power over them, they do so at great personal risk.
Now, viewers, he added that while whistleblowers contribute to safer working conditions, while the laws strengthen democracy and governance.
By providing mechanisms for exposing improper conduct, whether it relates to bribes for benefits, sexual abuse, fraudulent payments for non-existent work, or damage to the environment, this legislation can help hold individuals and organizations accountable for their actions, thereby promoting trust in our institutions and governance. So as such, the bill enhances accountability. The protection offered by this legislation can contribute to safer working conditions. Finally, by ensuring that public and private sector entities operate transparently and are held accountable for their actions, whistleblower laws strengthen democracy and governance.
Now, viewers, the senator ended by saying he doesn't see any intolerable invasion of privacy as the rules are perpetrated. Listen to this. Proportion.
The immunity only covers protected disclosures defined at Clause 7. So if a disclosure is false, it's not protected. And if it's not protected, then proceedings can be brought against the person who made the false disclosure. So I am satisfied that the risks to privacy are justified and they are not excessive. I don't see an intolerable and unjustifiable invasion of privacy. I am satisfied that even where there may be some impact on privacy, the risks are justified and proportionate to the public interest served by whistleblowing.
Hola, good night.
Right, Saeed.
Go right ahead, you're live.
I'm calling from Tunapuna.
Welcome to Tunapuna.
Right, Saeed, I am listening to the program and I'm listening to Senator Richards and Senator Vieira. And you realize that the whole question is about transparency.
Correct.
And the thing to deal with corruption, the whistleblower and all these kinds of things. Saeed? You hear me, friend?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Right. You remember just recently, the people from the secondary roads company said that, that was a new formation, a new company that the government formed, and $200 million was allocated for that.
Yes.
They took that money and they sent it to the Rohan Sinanan Ministry of Works.
Correct.
When the board people said that this is something that is very strange, and they questioned it, where is the money that's supposed to be allocated for the secondary road company?
I believe they spent $68 million thus far.
Right. You know what they did, Saeed? Under the whistleblower, they fired the whole board the next morning. So how could Rowley and them talk about whistleblower, and then you fire the whistleblower and them who come out and talk about where that money goes, and you close down, you shut down the secondary roads company, and you fire the whole board. But let me tell you something again, Saeed, because you remember Senator Richards said, talking about the protecting high people in office and whatnot and things. Look, I'm going to show you a live example, Saeed. Imagine, I see now that Anand Ramlogan has lost his case, right? David West with the Police Complaints Authority. That's it, well, the allegations about for some witness tampering and what have you. But let me just show you something, how this government, who have the tentacles in all the different institutions in this country, including because they appointed David West and the Police Complaints Authority. And I'll draw an example for you. One, we have McDonald Jacob, who is who failed on the work and is a consultant to this present police commissioner.
Correct.
You have a former deputy police commissioner, Joanne Archie, is now advisor to the police commissioner.
Yes.
Right? In addition to that side, you had the issue where the Brent Thomas fella who went to Barbados and they sent the police here and they to arrest him. You remember that side?
Yes, yes.
Do you know one of the persons, or in fact the person who spearheaded that crew of police to go there and arrest that man? You know who that woman is? Is a woman. You know, she, because remember when Kamala wrote the Prime Minister of Barbados, she never responded to Kamala, but then come out and acknowledge that there was something untoward and something went wrong.
Correct.
And they admit, something wrong and they apologize and what have you. But that same policewoman here was promoted to deputy police commissioner, Saeed.
Well said, yes. My friend,
so
thank you so much, but we are running out of time. I understand what you're saying, and everything you are saying, it is quite correct. It is happening presently. So considering the whistleblower bill and the anti-corruption bill, now listen to this. The Whistleblower Protection Bill 2022 has been passed in the House, in the upper house, but without the opposition support. The bill seeks to combat corruption and other wrongdoing by encouraging disclosures of improper conduct in the public and private sector. To protect people making those disclosures from detrimental action received full support from the government and independent benches. However, opposition Senator Wade Mark has revealed that the UNC's intention to challenge the Whistleblower Protection Bill in court. Mark said, this bill is unconstitutional, illegal, and invalid, and must be challenged in the courts. Listen to this.
This bill, in its current form, is illegal, is unlawful, is unconstitutional, and it will be challenged in the courts of Trinidad and Tobago. I give it that undertaking.
Now, Trinidad and Tobago, the Attorney General Regional Armo has assured the opposition that regulations for the bill were and would be subjected to affirmative action with active parliamentarian debate. But Mark dismissed Armo's explanation as the opposition maintained its rejection of the bill. He questioned how it could be put into law where a person might be falsely accusing someone of something, and the whistleblower could be protected from civil, criminal, or disciplinary action.
Because this law gives protection to that whistleblower, Mr. President. Now, the last time I checked, we live in a democracy. The last time I checked, we have a right to go before a court if somebody is trying to impugn my good name. The last time I checked, the highest court is the Privy Council. So how can we put into legislation, Mr. President, that you cannot challenge someone who wrongfully, falsely accuses you or me or anybody of wrongdoing, of corruption, and that person is protected by this piece of legislation? You can't take civil, you can't take criminal, you can't take disciplinary action against that individual.
Now, viewers, Mark said a PNM whistleblower could set up someone, and the government is using Parliament to weaponize the law. Listen to Mark.
If you are denying the citizen the right to go to court to defend his or her good name, you should have a 2/3 majority in this legislation.
It should never happen.
No, I'm saying if you want to go that route, you need to have a 2/3 majority. You remove the 3/5. You're now telling Mr. President, others, no right to defend your good name against a whistleblower, a PNM whistleblower, who is set up by the PNM to set you up, and then your name jumping up in a band, and they're telling you, the PNM is telling you, using the Parliament to weaponize legislation to tell you and me and the citizens of this country, you cannot take the PNM whistleblower to court. You can't mash them up. They can mash you up, but you can't mash them up.
46-6.
Now, Trinidad and Tobago, I want you to understand something. Wade Mark is a very, very educated man. He was once the Speaker of the House at one point in time. He's very educated. And he have all rights, the opposition have all rights to go to court concerning this whistleblower bill. That is their right. But until something comes up new, let's hear what they have to say. Now, corruption. Public workers who create false legal documents for criminals will soon be under scrutiny with the passage of the miscellaneous provision, testing and identification bill. The bill was passed with unanimous support from all government, opposition and independent senators present. The opposition had supported the bill in the lower house recently. The legislation will aid in identifying corrupt licensing officers, rogue police and prison officers and fraudsters working at the Board of Inland Revenue, Custom and Excise and the Immigration Division who enrich themselves at the expense of others. Listen to this.
Another legitimate aim is to reduce crime. Every one of us are possibly or can be victims of crime. We all feel the pain of others when they become victims. And one of the things that, as Minister of National Security, I'm called upon to account for is the prevalence of crime. And I have full support of the opposition in this regard every day, Senator Mark and others. Crime, 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 crime. Well, today we come to deal with a little bit of it.
Acknowledging concerns about potential breach of constitutional rights, Hines argued that such measures were warranted to combat crime and corruption within the state.
A third aim to identify rogue elements in the protective services and government departments. Even members of those services are very uncomfortable if they feel strongly that there are those who have to watch their back, who they have to depend on in the course of their work, any hour of the day or night, sharing information which could cost individuals in the society, institutions in the society, all that it represents. And therefore, I can tell you, one element of the public are the internal ones to these services. They would be very happy to know that all anti-slopers are found out. As we used to say in the police service, old police like I am. This helps you to determine the anti-slopers. And they are everywhere.
So we're moving on to housing. The Housing Development Corporation, HDC, will continue to evict errant tenants as it tries to recover over $241 million in arrears, according to the Housing and Urban Development Minister, Camille Robinson-Regis. Caller, good night.
Good night, Saeed.
Go right ahead, your life.
Right. I'm calling back from Tunapuna. And now I want to draw something to your attention. You said you have supported Rai Ragbir when Rai Ragbir supported that bill, the whistleblower bill. That's it?
Go right ahead.
Now you see the implications, what the opposition is saying. And Rai Ragbir, I want to tell you this. This is payback time for Rai Ragbir, eh? Because Rai Ragbir, during the pandemic, when Stuart Young was the Minister of National Security, was given a blight to travel out of this country when other people were restricted from doing so. And now you could tell me, if all the opposition, including the people who we associated with, the Party and all of them, voted with the opposition, how come you, Rai Ragbir, as one individual, voted in support with the PNM? After you hear all these revelations coming from Senator Mark, how people could be set up and whatnot and whatnot. Saeed, you have to be very careful when you say you're supporting these people.
No, I understand what you're saying.
They didn't understand
I understand.
the whole implication of this bill, eh? Understand what I'm saying? And Rai Ragber and them do this deliberate to embarrass the government. I mean the opposition. Because when you could give thumbs up in your support for them, it means that you have something up your sleeve. Because I remember there were 3 issues I want to tell you about Rai Ragber. The first one was when the opposition nominated Israel Khan for the president. They say opposition voted with the thing, right? You had the other issue with the bill. This whistleblower bill, Rai Ragber supported that. And finally, there were allegations by Rai Ragber with the Sangregadi Regional Corporation for corruption and what have you. And I listened to the chairman of the Sangregadi Regional Corporation is telling you that Rai Ragber is definitely lying. And he's too damn lazy. He doesn't work. He don't find out what is happening or anything like that. But you see, as I say, this is payback time for that favor they grant him to travel out of Trinidad and Tobago during the pandemic. And this fella must not be. They had to get rid of this fella once and for all. We can't do he no more side. You have to take your record and hook him up and pull him out of it. Have a good night.
Now, here this caller. You remember when Dulcie Rodriguez was in Trinidad when plane was not allowed to land?
Yeah.
So who is favoring who now?
I mean, who is favoring who? The government is...
I will tell you something. I'll tell you something. We have too much crime happening in Trinidad and Tobago. And the opposition is talking and talking and talking and talking. Imagine the PNM have to remove certain, how to say it? Two-thirds. They have to move a 2/3 or a 3/4 in order to pass something.
Majority and all of that.
Right. They have to do that because why?
Why?
Nobody from the opposition wants to support. Nobody. And I will tell you something, caller. I will tell you something.
They're violating people's rights.
Thank you so much.
They're violating the Constitution.
Thank you so much. Everybody in Trinidad and Tobago wants crime to go down. Everybody in Trinidad and Tobago is complaining about too much crime. Police officers are even complaining. Opposition complaining. Now, with all the complaining that the opposition is doing, is anybody supporting anything? Is anybody from the opposition, are they supporting anything? At the end of the day, they have bodyguards. They have security. What do you have? MPs getting tax exemptions. What you getting? What are you getting? So viewers, we are out of time for tonight, but nevertheless, it's Friday night, the weekend is upon us. Be safe, don't end up in the police station, the hospital, need a ward one. So until we meet again, good night.